Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. Today, we have a special guest to recap the week with us, VGF. Welcome to our Sunday recap episode.
Thank you guys for having me.
Yes, actually, oh my God, Michael, I feel like he's talked about you so many times that I'm getting sick of your name. I'm like, let's just bring VGF on already so we can stop talking about how we need to bring him on.
I feel like I have been on the show. I know I haven't yet, but I feel like guilty by association and like by osmosis. I'm glad to finally make it on.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. What a pleasure to have you, man.
Also, we just found out right before this that it was Michael's birthday, everybody. So, why did I say Michael's birthday, everybody? I meant Michael's birthday yesterday. So everybody, please, in your heads, wish him a happy birthday. It was his birthday. You know, he turned 20 years old. So still young.
21. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So before we get started with, what happens this week in the NFT space, I did want to read the 2 new reviews we got. And I wanted to just, first of all, thank everybody who wrote reviews in general and also this month, because this is actually a record month. We have never had 5 reviews in a month before. And so very exciting stuff. Thank you guys for writing reviews. So yeah, let me read them now. So we got Jay Cause, who said, "Chill show. I listen to the show because it's like hanging out with friends who care about NFTs. None of my friends in real life care about NFTs, so it's nice to get the NFT hangs out of my system. Thanks for the content. I enjoy it." Love it. And then Vinny also says, "Awesome podcast. Always love hearing Jenny and Michael break down the week in NFTs. Great guests and content. Thank you both for what you bring to the space."
Amazing.
Too sweet. Too kind. So yeah, thank you guys for that. And yeah, I feel like we should start with all of the Twitters being compromised and all the hacks happening and just craziness going on.
Wild week.
Yeah.
For being a rather that, maybe it was just that it was a relatively slow week for NFTs, but everything that happened was big.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I had noted some of the accounts that had gotten hacked. So Zeneca got hacked, which, by the way, I'm curious. I want to hear you guys' take after I say, if you guys think it was insider, some Twitter employee hacking people's account or something. But okay, Zeneca, Keyboard Monkey, who I don't even know if they've gotten their account back, because I literally keep checking their account and they haven't tweeted. And I'm like, oh my God, is their account still they can't get into it? I don't know what the situation is. Franklin is bored. I can't remember if that was this week or last week. And then Jenkins the valet. So that was pretty wild. I guess this is a good plug for our last episode on Web3 security.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Because I know Zeneca said he had 2-factor authentication on, and it was the Google auth. It wasn't SMS. And so people are thinking, oh, maybe it was some Twitter employee hacking into people's accounts. I don't know.
I think that's, short of it being corroborated, I think that's a stretch. I mean, everyone likes to say that they're all topped off on their security, but even the best of us get lazy. When Krybarak got not hacked, but scammed, it just goes to show that even the best of us get lax.
Yeah, that was a bad one. I was reading about that this morning.
It's kind of one of those if you're not proactive about it, then it's not if but when. And so like that's I don't know about the Twitter stuff though. Like to me, my first gut reaction was SMS, like SIM swapping, something of that sort. But like the high profile of all of the accounts being compromised is what kind of put me on edge. Because like these are people that are not unfamiliar with, security, especially in the Web3 space. So like seeing that level of accounts compromised, but then like if it was an insider at Twitter, why not go for, the Cosmos or like the 6529, those kind of people. Like if you had your pick of anybody,
right?
Maybe they're coming next. Who knows? Maybe they're coming for them next.
Didn't one of the guys? I'm sorry, but didn't one of the guys from Yuga Labs, Gordon or Gargamel, didn't they tweet that this was expected, that they were like tracking a group of people that were about to?
Well, so like I know the guys that OK Hotshot and I were tracking like a couple of months ago. Like we knew that this was going to be a target a matter like months ago.
Okay.
Because like the Discord exploits started to fall off. They weren't making, near as much money for how much effort they were putting into it. Granted, they were still catching people, but like I think people finally kind of got around to understanding kind of the MO. But like my whole argument this whole time is like they can do the same thing for Twitter. That like the MO doesn't change. They just are delivering it via a different means.
Yep.
And sure enough, they've caught a handful of people. So shout out.
I remember you said that a lot. Like everybody was blaming Discord, and you were like, "It's not really Discord. It could be anywhere." You were on top of that a long time ago, and
but
you also did. You wrote
people,
a really good thread. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, wherever people congregate, the scammers will try to follow.
Yep.
Yeah, because they hack these large accounts, and then they'll just post like a minting link, like, oh, and it's one of these stealth mints, which is always a red flag, especially when they turn off the comments so that people can't comment and be like, this is a scam. But usually, like, you can't turn off retweets and quote tweets because people always quote tweet and be like, this is a scam, don't mint. So that's always, if you do see something that seems too good to be true with like a mint happening from a popular account, make sure you check the quote tweets, check to see if the comments are off. Those are all red flags. And yeah, most people don't do stealth mints these days, like especially with all this stuff going on, like people are trying to be safe and secure and not, confuse people. But yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I hope I don't get hacked. But I also feel like I'm not big enough. Like it's like, if I had 100K, then maybe I should be worried about,
Yeah.
Get ahead of it. It may be before you know it that you are the target. So
no, I know. I'm like, I shouldn't try to grow my account anymore. Keep it small. There's benefits to having a small account,
Well, but Michael, you mentioned the Twitter thread. Like TLDR on it is just if you're concerned about your social media security, just get a YubiKey. Like that's
what's a YubiKey? Yeah.
It's a hardware authentication for social media. Think of it like a Ledger or a Trezor for your socials. Like I know that you can use it, like use something like a Ledger or Trezor for Twitter specifically, but like for all of your socials. So for sake of argument, YubiKey just unanimously across just about any social, or at least like most of the big ones.
And you plug it into your phone?
Phone or PC.
Oh, wow,
it's got a whole bunch of different,
looking at it. Yep.
Kind of hardware, like depending on the device, but like the core functionality remains the same. They even have ones that like can be verified via NFC tag and a bunch of stuff, but you can answer like a questionnaire, this like quiz of like what device you're trying to use it with. Are you trying to have it like where it's plugged in all the time? They make like little micro ones that you can legit just have plugged into your computer all the time. But like you can have all of the best email account password protections in the world, and it's still not as secure as that.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking at it. They're not expensive. 45, 55, 70 for the most expensive one.
Yeah.
We can link it as well, but it's yubico.com, yubico.com if you wanted to check it out. And so I'm
And
curious.
not an ad. I'm just a fan.
Not sponsored. No, we don't do any ads or anything, so it's all good.
Yeah.
But I'm just curious, like, would this prevent, like, if somebody within Twitter, like, you know, they were just like trying to hack people's accounts, like, does this protect against that, or is this just kind of?
I mean, for sake of argument,
yeah,
if they had that level of access at Twitter and they could change around your account settings, like if they had the ability to turn off your authentication, then that's like a core functionality fault at Twitter.
You can't really do anything about that, right?
To say, I mean, then Twitter as a platform is done. So like, just get rid of it.
Right.
But presuming that's not the case, this would prevent something like that. Yes.
Okay, cool.
I don't want to like they could right. Like nothing.
They could have your password and everything, right? They could have your password and whatever it is, and they can't get into your account if you have this thing. That's good to know. Yeah, if you're somebody listening, you know, I know Farouk listens every week, and I know a bunch of people that.
Guys, we need some laughter here. Come on.
I was sending out a bunch of DMs to like a bunch of friends, just like, hey. With the level of exploits and compromises that have been going around, like just you know, express ship it, like just
it happened to people during VCon. We probably all remember that. Yep. Yeah, and that's really important. I mean, we had just Simone Art on. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's really, really smart. Yeah, we had her on just last week talking about security, a whole episode, and she really went in depth, and we asked a lot of questions. That was really good. But it's really important, you know, our listeners, like the main thing, you're on Twitter and you see something like that and it looks like someone's minting. Nobody legit right now is minting stealth. It's just you'd be crazy if you were one of the legit people in the space and you're like, hey, surprise, like just, you know, nobody's really doing that right now. So really think it gets people that don't know, like, you know, it's pretty obvious to us and hopefully none of us fall for something like that. I clicked on a link a couple weeks ago. It was, I mentioned this before, but Psychedelics Anonymous, they have that new project, EZU or whatever. And it was one like, hey, sign up for our whitelist. And I clicked on the link. I didn't do anything there or anything like that, but I like clicked it and thought for a second and then thought better and went and looked, and it was a fake account, like made to look like the real account, which is another thing that we see a lot. So, I mean, like you said, the guy that got hacked earlier today, like is, you know, really smart and had all these NFTs and like a momentary lapse of judgment, you know, and it's really bad.
Well, and I think that's what it, you know, boils back to for me is like with this self-sovereignty of the space, like, that you are your own bank. A lot of people use that example, but like, a lot of people aren't comfortable with the responsibility and accountability that comes with that yet. That like, you don't have to be like neurotic about it, but like I've got 2 devices. Like I have my like work computer and social computer that I can go and do whatever on, but like executable file types, I think that's the next one that I'll call it now. Executable file types are going to end up getting a lot.
What does that mean?
So it's not one specific file type, but a group of file types that can basically enact actions on your computer, and like .exe files and like even PDFs are not your friend, and that running those types of documents can potentially be malicious. And so I have a device that I purely use for like opening files and stuff like that. That's not linked to any of my MetaMask, you know, no socials, nothing. It's just a device to open files. And I don't think everyone needs to go to that extreme, but like you should be mindful of like what it is that you're clicking on, what it is that you're running or opening, short of using like a virtual machine. Like we can go all the way down that rabbit hole, but I think that's probably a lot for most people. But like short of running a virtual machine to open all your files on, having another device is like the next easiest thing.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah, there was I remember last year there was a lot of people tweeting about like getting their, maybe I don't know if it was crypto or NFTs because it was kind of like early last year, but through literally like files, like you were talking about, like they would, oh, can you check out this? And it's like, yeah, like a PDF or something, and then you would click it in the DMs, and then
That was
like,
the whole
yeah,
where they were getting the artists,
the
where they
artists,
were like,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
hey, my employer is looking to commission a work from
yes,
you.
that's
Let
what I
me
was
send you
seeing.
this
Yeah,
link of what we're looking for.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that might make a comeback, I guess. According to VGF, that's gonna make a comeback. So
I don't want to see it. I'm just thinking that like it's this cycle of vulnerabilities that people overlook.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you like using a burner wallet for like minting and connecting to websites and just having a separate,
bifurcation of your wallets? Yeah.
What is what's the word?
Bifurcation.
Okay.
just breaking up your wallets. It costs you nothing to break up. Like, I mean, yes, it costs gas to transfer things and stuff like that, but like, I have accounts that no one knows are mine. Like, they have no paper trail to connect to my like VGF.eth or anything like that. Like, my main wallet's my main wallet, but because of what's in there and allow lists and stuff like that, occasionally I do have to mint from that wallet. But for sake of argument, like, everyone should have multiple wallets where you have splitting up of your most valuable NFTs, even if one were to be exploited that you don't necessarily have then all of your NFTs taken, and having like a burner wallet that you use as like your minting wallet for like sketchy contracts or whatever. If you're full on degenning, you should have like a specific wallet that's just for that. Like, I know Tropo, but like, of all people, Tropo,
he put out a really good one. Yeah, I remember that. I saw
he put out a good thread about it on Twitter. I think it was last week, about using like subdomains to name all of his different wallets.
How do you set up a subdomain? Is that on the ENS website or is that somewhere else? That is okay, on the ENS website. Cool. I got to look into that. I know that.
Bifurcation of your wallets is again, big asterisk, all, with good, security phrase, secret phrase security. You can go and make new accounts under the same seed phrase, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Right. For sure. That's one of the things we talked about last week with Simone. Yeah, it's really important.
I'm tweeting about your birthday right now. Sorry, this is random. Also, Michael is frozen, so let's go on with the show while he recovers. Minecraft, VGF, did you see that Minecraft announced that they are like banning NFTs and they're not allowing or supporting NFTs on Minecraft at all, which was like crazy that they just decided to make that statement.
I don't think it was at all. I think it was, I had said it many times over the last 6, 8, 10 months, and I was called out for being a futter, but it's Microsoft. I mean, like, they have their own Web3 and crypto initiatives, but to think that they were just going to like sit idly by as people are leveraging their copyrights and intellectual property for their own monetary gain, like, I don't think that was super kosher.
Yeah, NFT worlds, like, wasn't that the whole selling point? The integration?
No, I think they have a value prop outside of Minecraft, which is what they're trying to pivot into right now. But
they got a lot of fun. Like, everyone was dumping their NFT worlds. It was crazy because those were going for like 20 ETH months ago, and now I don't even know what the floor is. Maybe Michael's looking it up. Michael's
the fact
back,
that it's not zero is surprising, but like, I think that just goes to show that like they do have a value prop. There is some opportunity for potential recovery, but I mean, in my eyes, their core value prop was that they were built on top of Minecraft. Mm-hmm. But like,
that's why the valuation got so high. They went down under 1 ETH, but they're like an ETH and a half now.
But that's where I think it's, to anyone that was like, that is truly into Web3 and gaming, I don't think it was unforeseeable. It wasn't like this was blindsided.
Yeah.
Right. I see somebody that bought one for 11.5 and is selling it for 1.55 right now.
That hurts.
Yeah. And that's probably
Well,
11
like,
and a half at like 3,000 too.
Well, and I don't say,
yeah,
I don't say it for sake of like, I told you so. I don't like seeing people in pain, but I hope that it's a learning opportunity, that like naivety and ignorance is not an excuse. And that like, I had a bunch of people when calling this out as, a potential risk factor, that were like, oh, that's nonsense. That's FUD. They're talking with Microsoft and Minecraft. And I was like, I don't care if they're talking to them. If there's no partnership agreement in place, it's a risk. Mm-hmm. And if you're weighing that risk and still putting your money into it, more power to you. Like if that's, an acceptable risk for you, that's on you. But the naivety and ignorance of, people that were told or believed otherwise, that put, potentially tens of thousands of dollars into this, that's where I feel bad, is like people that are FOMOing into this based off of false expectations and potentially promises that turned out to not be true.
One thing I always think about with this land is something that our buddy Gary V said 6-8 months back. He said on his podcast that he thinks people are going to get really hurt with a lot of these metaverse lands because we just don't know which one's going to succeed. I mean, he said that it stopped me from like really, moving into all these different ones. And there's so many and more to come. Like the best ones might not even be here yet.
Wait until, like Roblox or Rockstar or Epic Games gets into the mix, like Activision, Blizzard, some of these guys. I know that there's been a lot of pushback from the gaming community, like a bunch of the marketing kind of double speak of like, oh, they're not NFTs, they're digital collectibles and stuff like that. But there are too many conversations and too many people that see the value in, digital scarcity and sovereign ownership of digital assets for it not to trend in this direction, whether or not people accept it. And so I think it's just a matter of time. Like the gaming will trend towards support of Web3 and NFTs. And any of those guys, like you look at Epic Games just as an example, like they've got the Epic Games Store, they've got the distribution, they've got the publishers, they've got the developers, they've got the whole tech stack, Unreal. If and when they come out with their version of a quote unquote metaverse, it's going to blow everything that we know today, like absolutely out of the water. Nice. So not that there's not a place for some of these places like, Crypto Voxels and Decentraland and, but
Crypto Voxels they let go a lot of their staff just recently, said they're not going to build anything new. They're going to just improve what they have right now. So,
there's a lot of Web3 companies letting go of people.
There are. So VGF, your story I have on here to talk about is really relevant right now, especially with respect to, people losing their jobs or whatever it is. But like, I've had lots of people come to me, and I know Jennifer has as well. How do I get into a Web3 job? How do I find work? And, we've been friends for almost a year and a half now, on Clubhouse. And from those early rooms, it was obvious that you were a star and you were going places. And I'm sure that people listening now can hear the same thing. And you worked kind of it was a volunteer community manager, right? For Pixelval, for Punks Comics, Crypto Baby Punks. If I remember, you were
at one point I was Discord admin for something like 15 servers, but most of it was on, like volunteer basis, right? Or like in trade and stuff like that. Yeah. But that was my quickest value add. I was a gamer. I, knew Discord like the back of my hand. And
sure.
And so like, that was my quickest value add to the space when I was learning the NFT side of things was, hey, I know how to build out Discords safely, securely. I used to be a community manager for, esports teams and stuff like that. And so, hey, I can do this. I can add value here. let me get my foot in the door and then kind of run from there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you were just talking to people and learning and meeting people. So is that kind of how one of the ways you would suggest, I guess people do, like you said, that was your value add. So people figure out what they're good at, start to do it, build a reputation, be there. And you turned it into an amazing job at Pixel Vault. I remember when we were talking and you were taking your offers and figuring out what you wanted to do. And, that was fun to watch. And you're still building and growing and building your reputation. Like 10
Thank
years,
you.
I don't know. You're going to be doing something huge in 5-10 years, man. Just keep it up. You're a young buck and you're ultra smart. Like I said, everyone listen. I always say, I say one of the smartest guys I know in the space. I mean, I've said it on this show before, but I mean that 100%. Like, and just hearing you talk even today, it's great to get your perspective on.
But yeah,
on
I mean, to your question, I think that is where a lot of people are like, where do I get involved? And I think that we're at an interesting kind of inflection point. Like the market is down, a lot of companies are letting people go or, pausing hiring and stuff like that. But I the other side of that is that there's a massive opportunity for when the market returns. The people that are like putting their heads down, grinding now are going to be the people that earn that shot if and when, people or companies go to hire again.
Mm-hmm.
And so like getting involved with DAOs, contributing your time to collectives, getting your, foot in the door with new projects or as a community manager or like I use that as an example because that's where I came from. But there's going to be a lot of companies that are, looking for all of those traditional roles, whether it's finance or controller or, a head of HR, head of people, those are some really direly needed roles in Web3. Because like everyone's either hiring direct from Twitter, right? Or they're going straight to headhunters. And there's really not a whole lot of in between. And so adding a value add in kind of the administrative HR capacities, I think is going to be huge. And so like that's a very like real, tangible, non-technical role that is going to be absolutely huge in Web3 as a lot of these, especially like Web 2 platforms pivot into Web3. They're going to need somebody that's into Web3 and NFTs that can like kind of help comb through who knows what they're talking about, who's full of shit. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse.
You can curse.
But that, they need somebody that's native that can help them kind of integrate and guide them in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's huge opportunities for people. I mean, you just got to get your foot in the door different ways and see what you like, what you're good at. And you're right. There's going to be, they're going to need accountants and they're going to need everything. So,
and I mean, for sake of argument, like I'm not a developer. I'm not a coder.
Right.
But like, I know a couple of people that I've set down the path of, they're great front end, full stack, devs that pick up Solidity in the downtime, put, a handful of hours a week into, putting your head down, learning a new language.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's still a ridiculous shortage of developers in this space.
Yeah.
And so like, that's
especially
a
good ones. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, being a killer front end or full stack dev in Web3 is a ridiculously desirable position right now. So like for somebody to put their head down and learn how to, do front end, Web3 integrations or back end Solidity dev work and stuff like that it's a great time to learn something like that before the desirability returns and the opportunity passes by.
We heard that same exact thing from some of our former guests, Carlini, Nate, Alex, where they said all the people that were here for the first run in 2017, 2018 that stuck with it are the ones that really came out on top when NFTs came back. So that's definitely something to think about for this run. Who knows if it's going to come back this year, next year, whatever it is. But, those of us that believe in the blockchain technology and all things NFT are confident that it will.
Well, like I kind of laughed because I made a tweet about it earlier that my core thesis hasn't changed. Like price of ETH regardless.
Yeah.
Like, do I think the uptrend of digitization continues? Yes. Do you prefer to digitally, like sovereignly own your digital stuff? Yes. And do I think that blockchain contributes to solving some of those problems? It's not great for everything, but for some things, definitely. And in that, my, core thesis, stack crypto and NFTs as a store and leverage of crypto.
Yep.
And buy some cool like art stuff along the way. Like that supporting artists, like that's a huge perk for me.
Absolutely.
Ironically, some of my most valuable NFTs now are the ones I'm least likely to want to sell.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Not that I have super valuable ones, but like my doodle, it's just special to me. Even though it's like, oh my God, I can sell it for so much.
I don't know that I've ever showed you my doodle. My doodle is like,
you have a doodle? I want to see your
it's
doodle.
literally like not your twin, but pretty darn close.
Really?
Purple hair? You have purple hair?
Oh yeah.
Let's go.
With the purple fanny pack.
Hair.
Yeah.
What? Wait, I need to see this.
I'll send it to you. It's good.
Okay, great.
I actually got it from Gremplin of all people.
Hey, isn't Gremplin the founder of Cryptodes?
The artist
Creator?
of,
and one of the artists
from, one of the artists from the Nouns Project as well.
Nice.
And for cryptos, you got like an honorary one, right?
I did.
Yeah.
It was a semi painful story, but also really, really rewarding. So like I had known some of the founders, had kind of consulted and advised them, on a handful of things over the last, at that point it was, 6 months or so. They just became good friends, and they offered me an honorary. And I, at that point, like I had no idea what it was that they were doing. I didn't know what the mint was even for. And like it was so stealth when they dropped the Cryptodes mint that I didn't even know it happened. Like it was sold out, and I like even having an honorary, I missed the mint.
Wow.
And so I got the honorary. I started getting some good offers. Like it started picking up some traction. I got some, decent offers on it. And like I had some medical bills and stuff that came up, and a couple of like my friends that were a part of the project were like, hey, if you need to, accept this, like, we know what that would mean to you at the time. Like, if you need to accept this, like, this was a gift, like, don't think about it any other way. And I was like, no, I like, if I'm going to sell this, I want it to be, a significant sale for Cryptodes. And at the time, hoodies were, hoodie toads were maybe an ETH or two. And I was getting offers of like 3 and 5 ETH or something like that. And I set it at 20, thinking like, nah, like if it really, like, if somebody really wants it for 20, like, and sure enough, it got caught up in a sweep of honoraries. Me, Lee, and Justin Aversano got our 3 sold at like 20 ETH. And that kicked off the bull run to like a 14 ETH floor.
Yeah.
And the honorary floor went to like over 100. And so that was a little painful, but also, kind of taking one for the team. Yeah. And it was an incredibly generous gift that I still have. Like, I mean, I'll show you guys because you're on video, but like, I still have my Cryptode as like my Blood Bones Skelly Force hoodie. It's like, I still rock it as my PFP.
You're literally rocking a Cryptodes.
I'm wearing my Cryptodes hat right now.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Clearly a fan of Cryptodes.
Yes.
But my question is, who buys honoraries? Like, especially for significantly above the floor? Like, why?
Well, so this was actually a part of the collection. So it wasn't like Bored Apes where the honoraries were a separate collection. Like these honoraries were a part of the collection.
But still, why would you buy someone's honorary?
I mean, that's fair. Like, and so my thought process on it was like, it's still my honorary. I just don't possess it anymore. It's still the honorary of
You
me.
don't own. It's like a one of one, I guess, right? Like it's kind of like a one of one within a collection, and that's like
exactly.
Special. Okay.
And,
I see that. I can see
like
that.
mine was like one of a few 3D glasses, and it was a hoodie. I think it was the only like 3D glasses hoodie. And so like that made it pretty special. But yeah, still a big fan of Cryptodes. I still have my Bloodbones Force Hoodie Skelly. And I mean, Grimplin, I just massive fan. So to have gotten my doodle from him, like I can never sell that now. Like that is my doodle.
Right. Wow, the Cryptodes floor is higher than I thought it was going to be, 2.15. I honestly thought that it was going to be lower. So, okay, not bad. Yeah, all of the co-founders at Evaluate Market, which is the company I work for, literally were so obsessed with Cryptodes when it first came out. And I was the one that was like, sell. I was like begging them to sell for no reason other than like I like to like try to get people to sell things when like they're going for a lot, even though I don't even sell things myself. Just testing people's conviction, I guess. And yeah, I think they still have their cryptodes to this
like
day,
in retrospect, the floor to 14 ETH
was wild
as quickly as it was. Yeah, it was probably a sign. But I mean, it had the memes, it had the art. I'm still a fan, and like the whole CCO thing, like to me, second to nouns and maybe MFers, like Cryptodes is definitely up there in like that top 3 CCO PFP conversation.
Is Doodles a CCO PFP? I honestly don't even know.
Nope.
Okay. I'm like,
because that means anybody can use it, right?
Yes, like, CCO is Creative Commons, where anyone can do anything with them, like full stop. Like you have no exclusive licensing rights. Right. It is just anybody, like go ham.
Anybody like in the world or anybody that owns it?
Nope, anybody.
Oh, wait. Okay, so
open domain. Free use.
What is Bored Apes? What is that? What is their thing where it's like people can license out their stuff?
That is a licensing model where you buy possession of the NFT, have license over the art of the ape that you own.
Is Doodles like that?
I don't think so. I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, I'm honestly.
Some of the other ones are. I think Cool Cats is right. Cool Cats, I think you can use your IP, or maybe not.
There's a handful.
You can't just say they are and then
I think they are. I thought I remember. I thought a bunch of them were. If Doodles isn't, maybe Cool Cats isn't, but I thought it was.
But I mean, like they might have some licensing agreement in there where you can, the big thing is whether or not you have merchandising rights, like ability to monetize it.
That's a good data point for some of these, like Flips.finance should put like right in their chart, like what your level
of, that's interesting. Yeah.
Your level of monetization rights.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's important if you're looking at what to buy. I mean,
yeah.
Well, so like, I mean, not to I already went on a little tangent. I'll go on another little one. But,
yeah, please.
Tying it back to Pixel Vault. That's the difference between our core heroes and our generative identities. The generative identities have very similar licensing to like the Bored Apes, where you own the license, the creativity over your generative heroes completely. But the core heroes are the ones that we're using for, the comics, the development of the games, stuff like that, where we have a shared license. So they have a little bit more restrictive licensing because we're also co-developing them, hoping to drive value back to those particular tokens and the story and all of that. But with the generative identities, the community's really been stepping it up, especially this last week, actually. Like shout out Archie, Juicy Jama, those guys, they've been putting out a lot of creative derivatives and like their own twists and spins on their meta heroes. Ridiculous, like professional caliber work. And it's been awesome to see. Like Pinballer really kind of pushed that ball along. He did his own comic featuring his meta hero.
Oh wow.
And I mean, they're picking it up and running. It's really cool.
I got to check that stuff out. Let's talk a little bit about Pixel Vault. First, I want to tell a little story. I've told it a dozen times on Clubhouse, but we can immortalize it here on the podcast. So when did Punk's Comic 1 mint? Was that like June of 2021? Is that when that was going on?
Yeah, end of May, June.
End of May into June
last year. Yeah.
So it took about 3 weeks to sell out 10,000 at 5 weeks. Took a long time, right?
It was a long time.
Yep. And like the first 6,000 took 5 weeks, and like the last 4,000 took like 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it something like that?
It was it was like it was literally like 6,000 or 8,000 across like 4.5 weeks, and then the last couple thousand just flew.
Right. Yeah, I remember that happened. And so they were minting at 0.2 when ETH was like 4,000. So they were kind of expensive for the time. And I was kind of just getting in my ETH run, but I had sold one of my V friends for like 5.5 ETH. So I had some ETH. That's when I bought my Bored Ape, and I had a little bit. And whatever reason, I saw on Twitter that the ball was rolling. I'm pretty sure it was Beanie putting it out there like, yo, this is going to sell out finally. And I remember you had always
we had the announcement of like Fuck Render doing the Founders DAO art.
Okay.
And like we had some big like announcements that kind of like really it kind of set that final ball rolling.
Okay. Right. And I remember you were always talking about Pixel Vault, and I was always hearing it, but I didn't really look into it too much. And you were talking about Killer Acid 101s and Hackatel 101s. And I didn't even know who those people were at this point. And the Fuck Render Founders DAO and the burning and the staking. And like, so it was, I knew it was going to sell out, and I go to the Discord, and all of a sudden it's like VGF is like doing all the announcements. And I was like, what? I was like, this kid from Clubhouse. And I went and I pinged you, and you joined me, thankfully. And we talked about it, and you explained it all to me. And I went and minted 6 of them, 0.2 each, 1.2 each which was a lot at the time. And it ended up just being amazing. I mean, what a move that was. And I was always grateful for that, but that's always a funny story to tell. And that was really awesome of you to come in, and we sat for like a half hour, and I just was so convinced. I went as hard as I was like.
Yeah, and you've been along for the ride since.
I've been along for the ride since. I definitely sold too early and wish I would have kept some, but I still have. I have my Founders DAO, and I have a bunch of the other stuff along the way. Like, I know you guys made some awesome announcements at VCon, and what a project. And it's like, great to see you. What's your technical role over there? What do they call you?
Well, so like my technical title is director of marketing. My unofficial title is director of vibes.
Oh, cool.
So
nice. The director of
vibes. That's actually how leadership introduces me.
Really? That's funny.
So like it's kind of like,
why don't they just make that your official title?
Yeah, it may be changing actually to be my official title, but it's kind of like the Web 2 title versus the Web 3 title, because like director of vibes, you like no one knows what that means outside of the NFT space, but it feels more true to what I do, because we do have, some people at Pixel Vault now that are more traditional marketing people, like helping to do partnerships and negotiations of, like the MLB deal and the partnership with Dana White and Endeavor and stuff like that. The kind of some of the, out of home marketing that we did at in Minneapolis for VCon, where you might have seen us like at the airports and stuff like that. That's not exactly my realm. Like, I know how to sell NFTs. I know how to market it, explain it, to a native Web3 audience. That's my jam. And then, keeping the vibes good in Discord and stuff like that. That's kind of my jam.
And Pixel Vault, for people that don't know, I mean, you guys have put out a lot of content with the origin stories and the elite apes. We had Kiki on. So much
Big
cool
fan.
stuff. The planetary Dahlia, she's awesome. Jennifer and her are good friends. And the
Shout out, Swiki.
yeah, there's like so much, the planetary and the Founders DAO and the physical comic that you guys sent that's really cool in that case. Like, my question would be for people that aren't in it right now, like, how would you suggest they learn about your ecosystem, and what's kind of like, where would you enter if you were kind of like, you don't have $1 million, but you want to learn about Pixel Vault and get into something? What's a good place to be?
So a couple of I'll take it as kind of a multi-part question. Like, where do you find out more? For sure. The Discord.
Okay.
It's got the links to all of like our Medium articles that go really in depth, if that's, more your speed. Shout out Economist. He does a phenomenal job on those write-ups.
He does.
But like the Discord, the community is absolutely killer. You can hop into the general chat, ask questions. The Founders DAO is really where I live. To those that are in the Founders DAO, like that's a second home. But like that is definitely the most engaged and like kind of fervent audience of ours. And the Founders DAO is definitely like an opportunity where if you wanted kind of broad exposure to all things Pixel Vault, the Founders DAO is an excellent opportunity, because not only do they get like the first mint of, just about everything we do, but also they've got a ridiculous treasury of like rare one of one art, like 9.8% or something like that of the United Planets DAO votes, a ridiculous amount of planets, their own store of, they've got like ETH about to be headed their way as well. So with the official legal formation and stuff like that. So a lot of really exciting things happening there. And then I would say like Punk's comic #1 as like the Genesis, the Grail. Those are still being staked for the fractionalized Punks tokens, the 16 fractionalized CryptoPunk vault. And then like with the UpDAO, the United Planets DAO for like the gaming ecosystem, the planets, like they're super approachable right now with the price of ETH and kind of the downturn. But a killer way to get involved, the UpDAO dashboard about to go live here in a few weeks. And like Mint Pass 2s, I think those are like super approachable right now too. So it's definitely like a lot of entry points. And, one of the points of criticism that we've heard is that, we put out a lot of NFTs, and we definitely do. But the idea being that, especially on like the kind of Punk's comic side of things, is like we put out comics, and with origin stories and stuff like that, we shifted up the model to where the original mint, the original number of mints is how many are going to be in circulation for the rest of the first 8, the first series, where you either need to burn an origin story 1 or any of the sequential for the next. So that's the max cap for the first origin stories.
How many is that?
I think there's, actually, I haven't checked. It's a very good question. I haven't checked in quite a while. I don't particularly stay on top of the pricing of anything besides kind of the main few, but I mean, I would just recommend getting into the Discord. You can reach out to PV support _ on Twitter. It's a verified account. That's kind of like our moderator and support desk. Shout out Potamus. The man is a legend. But I mean, my DMs are open. Like Keen said, when he had questions, I just sat down with him for like a half an hour to chat. I've extended that option or opportunity to a good number of people already. So you can always slide in my DMs or hop in the Discord and ask your questions there.
Yeah, I'm a Founders DAO holder. That's definitely my favorite Pixel Vault token. I do need to be in the Discord more because I know there's really smart people, really good alpha going on there. There's been
Dude,
some
I laughed because
opportunities.
I went and started working with Pixel Vault, and like some of the Founders DAO members, I was like, dang, I should have just hung out in here with you guys and just degened all day, and I probably would have been better off.
Right. Yeah,
at least financially.
I'm gonna get up in there more. I'm gonna get up in there more for sure because that is a really good community. I'm glad you mentioned that. And the Founders DAO is at 1.04, which is the lowest I've seen it. And I don't even remember the last time I've like. I mean, it was up as high as like 3.5, I think, maybe even 4.
It was doing pretty solid there for a while. I'm not sure what its peak was.
I see 4.6. One of them sold for, so it probably was even higher than that. I might honestly it's probably a really good deal. I might even snag a second one just to have it in case it ever blows up and I want to, move on and whatever. But that's a really good deal. 1.04 for that, especially with where ETH is.
Do you have any alpha for us to share? Some secret alpha, NFT catcher exclusive information. What's in the pipeline? Come on.
Well, so maybe that's the non-alpha is like the last 6-8 months have really been like head down for us building out, infrastructure type stuff, building out the dashboard for the UpDAO because it's kind of like an entirely new governance structure of the UpDAO does not have tokens. It has kind of like a parliamentary system of being governed by the votes of the planets. So each planet has, kind of a percentage weighted vote of the UpDAO, which governs kind of the whole ecosystem. And there weren't really kind of off the shelf tools that were readily available to do all of that. So we built one. So it's kind of got snapshot, discourse, governance, all on one platform. So you don't have to like bounce back and forth or have discussions in Discord and then on discourse and then, vote via snapshot. It's all in one portal. And, the dev team, I mean, these guys are seriously wizards. And so like taking up something like that was a lift and a half. Like it's been in the works for many months, but the next few months are going to be a lot of deliverables. Like we've got once that UpDAO portal, kind of codenamed Prism. It's got a funny acronym that ties into the lore with it too. But once that gets stood up and ratified, we're going to have the first gaming proposals going live because the game is governed by the DAOs. So our head of gaming, Aaron Guzeg, is going to be putting forth proposals to the DAOs for approval of like the development of these games, emphasis games, because it's got kind of many iterations of it.
Ooh.
And so it's ambitious. Like we aren't shy that like what we've taken on is aggressive. But since January, I think in January we had something like 10 full-time employees, maybe plus, a good number of contractors and stuff like that. It may have been around 20. And this last month we passed over 60 full-time employees. So scaling as aggressively as our plans are. So
yeah, I heard somebody say a while back that Pixel Vault is the big leagues, and this was a long time ago, and it stuck with me as somebody said that because it really feels that way. All the cool.
Well, and I think that's an interesting difference when, like, especially with the market the way it has been. There's still been a handful of projects that kind of get memed, or you'll see these hype cycle, pump and dump type stuff. And
no, not in the NFT space.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, there's definitely, even with the market downturn, there's still been projects that have kind of popped off.
I mean, Goblins flipped V Friends, so like,
That's nuts to me.
Yeah, right.
But like, okay, so like that is an example. Like, this is nothing against Truth Labs or Goblin Town or anything like that. But like, just putting that into perspective, like I would put my money into something like V Friends, where it's a long-term, high conviction bet, even if it is, you know, relatively expensive. Like with Pixel Vault, I see it through a similar lens of, you know, I used this example a while ago of, you know, when I went to NFT NYC, I was exceptionally surprised by a lot of the projects that were there in, you know, October, November, not even a year ago, and weren't still around, not even, you know, 8-10 months later for the next NFT NYC.
Yeah. And
so I think, you know, comparing, you know, the longevity or scope of some of these projects, like Pixel Vault's still going to be around a year, 3, 5, 10 years from now is the goal. That like, it's not something that's, you know, going to accomplish a milestone and then fall off the face of the earth, but that, yes, we have some ambitious goals, but we also not only have the team to try and back it up, but have, you know, the aspirations to be greater than just a project. That, you know, Pixel Vault is a multimedia entertainment company that happens to produce NFTs.
Yeah. That's what people are looking for these days, is real companies. You know, like we were doing projects for a while, but the like what people are looking for really has changed for sure. For something that they're going to invest in. You're not,
well, and it was funny because like,
but
we were made fun of it for a while, because like,
yeah,
you know, God forbid you treat a project like a business, right?
Right.
But you know, the market seems to have kind of caught up a little bit to where we saw it going, and not in the state of the market, but in maybe maturity. And that I think that for me, not that everyone's going to play, you know, their cards the same way, but for me, I don't have the bankroll to, you know, throw on a lot of these gambles. So I put my cards on, you know, high conviction, long-term plays that if a few of those can pan out and do well, like my whole NFT portfolio hasn't done spectacularly. I definitely didn't take as many gains along the way as I maybe could have, but I'm still doing so disproportionately well compared to just about anywhere else that I could have put my money, that
sure.
Going to keep playing it the way I have been.
Yeah. It's good perspective. This conversation leads me into something else I have on our list here, which is punks versus apes. And we've talked about this a couple times. It's getting the feeling like punks is going to flip them back. And I feel bad because I talked a couple times when it was at 48 and ETH was like 900. That's probably might have been one of the last opportunities.
Mike was like, "Oh, I should buy one."
I know. I was.
And the next episode, he's like, "Oh, I really should buy one." And then he's like, "Oh, dang it, my time passed." I'm like, "Bro, you should have bought one when you."
I should have bought one. I probably would have sold it because, like, just to make that quick, like 30 ETH. It's up like 30 ETH, and ETH is up. ETH is up 75%.
Wait, what's the floor of punks right now? 70?
Like 78 or something.
Really?
And
78.
Yeah. And apes is like 85. So it could happen any day.
Well, but so like NFT Stats put up a tweet, I think it was yesterday, or it might have been this morning, that CryptoPunks had like 6,800 ETH worth of volume, whatever it was, like a couple weeks ago. And then yesterday, I think
zero,
it was yesterday,
right?
the day
They had
before,
no sales.
0 ETH worth of transaction volume.
Yeah.
So like, just for perspective of showing like how quickly like the pendulum can swing. I do think like punks are a crazy bet long term.
Yeah.
But
they don't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything.
I mean, they don't, but like at the same time, they are like not the first, but certainly like as far as the culture goes, the original PFP. And to me, that's like, that would be the pain for me, is like, if I didn't get my grail, I would just consider selling it. So like, I would need to either get a couple or go for like my hoodie grail that I'm just never going to sell because like that would just be my identity then.
I know. I look at them, the floor ones, they didn't speak to me when I was like looking. I don't know if I would have taken that leap because, I do want to hold on to ETH with ETH being so low. I don't want to necessarily like, there's a lot of NFTs I want. I'd like to buy a Clone X right now. I've said before, like I'd buy a couple Chimpers. I think that Chimpers one has a chance to do really well.
Dude, they again, talking about like content, they're killer.
Yeah.
Timpers and Insight.
That one's at like 1.7, 1.8. Like,
yeah,
that one's
both
good.
of those guys are the homies. They're awesome.
Franklin told us about that before it minted. We asked him for some projects he was into.
Is that the one that he was saying?
Yeah, that was the one he said. Chimpers, yep.
I got TBA
that was the first time I ever heard
at like 0.2. It was like my last ETH at the time. I wish I would have gotten a handful more. Yeah. I called it and I just didn't have the ETH at the time, but I think I bought 2 and rode that up to like, I think it was 2 or 3 ETH before the mint. And I was like, okay, I got to take a little bit of gains there, but I still have my one Chimpers.
Nice.
I don't know. Is it one chimp or Chimpers? One Chimpers?
I have my Chimper.
The goose, one Chimper.
Do you have Chimpers? A Chimper? I don't know.
Insight Timpers. We need some clarification here. Somebody help me out.
Another one is BYO pills or bio pills.
That one's been going for, I know they've got like a whole ecosystem now too. That's one of those.
They do. They just had their 1-year anniversary. They're doing really well. Jennifer and I both have full
I know
sets,
that they have like, the lands and all that stuff too, that one of those that I just don't have the bandwidth to keep up with anymore.
No, of course it's impossible to keep up with everything.
But I think that's an interesting kind of point though, where like, I think you guys both know, like, this time last summer, we knew between like a handful of us, we knew every project that was dropping every day.
Yep.
And very quickly, like about this time, maybe August, September, it got parabolic where like you could not there was no human possible way that you could keep on top of everything that was happening. And I think that's where it's kind of going towards is like people will pick their niches of like, what are you a fan of? What are you plugged in with? And unless you're like a day trader, you're going to have the ones that you plug into and you stay on top of. And otherwise it's kind of the noise.
Yep.
Because there's just too much.
It's way too much. I mean, I go on Icy Tools all the time and like, it gets ridiculous. And you had a couple weeks ago, it was the Saudis and the Jews and the Americans. And like, it's too much. It's too much.
The memes.
But, yeah, exactly. And then Solana and like, it's crazy. It is crazy. So punks versus apes. What do you say? Like, what's your ultimate?
I'm gonna root for the punks. I'm gonna root for the underdog right now.
I've started to think a couple times, like it'll be blasphemous, but like long term, that's what Gary Vee says. I always follow Gary Vee. I always say that. And he just says like, punks long terms. Cause like I said, the apes, if they sit and do nothing, they'll go down and down and down. The punks can sit and do nothing and it's still going to be the punks.
Well, and I think that's the difference is like BAYC and Yuga still have to drive value back to ape holders. Like they've done a lot.
How are they? They've done infinite amount with the ape coin.
They've done a lot,
but
at the same time, like
so much.
To your point,
what are they going to do next? Right.
Like they have to keep providing that value to maintain versus punks that it's all mimetic. It's like, or just long-term, the more people that get into the space and buy into the desirability of punks as like the original, then they maintain that desirability.
And I think there's lots of punks that are like locked up that are in like wallets that people don't have access to and things like that.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the most recent estimation is, but like, I know when they had the Meebits drop, there was like a bunch of people that like didn't claim their free Meebits and they took that as like a pretty reasonable ballpark of like how many wallets are either like lost or inactive, because like, why would you not claim,
10 grand, whatever.
Dozens or hundreds of thousands of free dollars worth of ETH.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think that even if you think it's like ballpark 8,000-9,000 of them, it's still pretty small number in the grand scheme of things.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Especially when everybody comes in and people are looking, and the apes have, I'm not saying they are, but the apes have that racist thing kind of hanging over the Nazi, whatever it is. It hangs over their head a little bit.
Michael's like flooding his own bag.
No, I'm not. I'm just being honest. He's being honest.
Yeah, so those apes, I don't know about them.
It's not something that I prescribe to, but it could be a problem in the future.
Oh, the lawsuit, right? Like, did it?
Yeah, we'll see what. Yeah, Ryder Rips, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he's like suing. Like,
no, they're suing him. I think they're suing him.
Oh,
like he filed a countersuit.
He filed a countersuit also. Wow.
See, just all this stuff happening.
Yeah.
But like, I don't prescribe to all that. I think if anything, the like tapping into the culture and the memes of it, sure. But I don't, prescribe to the, that it's Nazi dog whistles and all that stuff. But to me, the more interesting argument there, because like, I'll give Ryder Rips his credit, like the conceptual art that he has accomplished of like, minting different tokens that like by their very nature are not the same NFTs, even if they, show the same artwork, or even if they're referential to the same IPFS link. Like it's not the same token by definition. And so like that part of it conceptually, I do have an appreciation for. It's just not my favorite thing when you take the stance of it being a Nazi dog whistle and then you personally profit to the degree of millions of dollars off of that. Not that artists shouldn't make their money, but like if you're doing it from a moral stance, that it's not my favorite thing. So, but like I think the intellectual property argument is the more interesting part of that case. That it could set precedent for how intellectual property and licensing rights go forward in the NFT space, that it's like setting a pretty high bar there. And I mean, I don't think Polly and Ryder want it to be settled out of court. I think they're leaning into it at this point, and I think they want it to kind of play out in court. Let it all air out. And I'm interested to follow.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And like I'm the same way. I don't prescribe to it being like that, but like one day, if the wrong person comes out and says they think it is racist or anti-Semitic, it could be a big problem. It could be.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. I love my Bored Ape, though. I definitely do. It's the cover of our podcast and all that. Jennifer says I'm fudding my bags. I guess I kind of am, but it's an interesting topic, and
it is. And that's like, I think you took it there, but
I guess I think
conceptually it's intriguing.
Yeah. Interesting. And we mentioned Franklin. He had 100 ETH mistake this week. Poor Franklin.
That was painful.
Yeah, that's. Whew.
I don't know about poor Franklin because he was playing with fire, so obviously you gotta expect to get burned,
right?
But
I mean, it was of his own doing, right?
Yeah, like, exactly.
That needs to kind of
right. It wasn't a scam. It wasn't a scam. He so for those that don't know, he bought a domain and it was like quit dash putting dash fake bids dash bro or whatever, something like that .eth. And he then put $100 ETH offer on it from another wallet to trigger the bots. And it did trigger a bot, and the bot gave him like a 1.7 ETH offer. He accepted it and forgot to cancel his bid. And the person accepted it and got the 100 ETH from him.
Well, the part that put the cherry on top for me was then Franklin offering to return the 1.8 ETH, hoping
I think he did return it. Did return,
hoping that the person would return the funds.
Right.
Franklin then airdrops the user
the wallet and note,
the NFT plea to return it. And then somebody, again, the memes, somebody bids an ETH on the NFT airdrop that like Franklin sent him as a plea.
Yeah.
So like that person was just like up astronomically. Ended up like going and sweeping a bunch of floors.
Did they accept did they accept the offer on Franklin's airdrop?
I don't know.
Okay.
But like the whole story was just it was kind of one of those, again, like even the best of us can slip.
Yeah.
But like I think one of you had said it, you know, playing with fire, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. But I think that he's kind of trying to game the system, and the system gamed him.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. He was just having a good time whenever it was. He tried to play it. And it's actually smart to try and trigger the bots, and obviously it worked, but whew, that's wild.
I don't think he'll be doing that again.
Yeah.
No, he definitely won't. If you Google NFT news, because I always Google NFT news before the episode to see if there's anything big, and there's like 5 or 6 articles written about that situation.
Damn.
It's like Bored Ape holder loses $150,000.
Bored Ape, and of course, it's like Bored Ape holder.
It really is.
And golden Bored Ape holder at that.
He said that he sent those articles to Twitter to try and get verified, and they didn't verify them. Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, he's like, they're writing articles about me. Yeah, it's really funny. We had Franklin on too. Franklin's a really good dude. Like when he had his hack,
persona is so different from like his real life. Like when he was on the podcast, he was so like humble and like seemed like a down to earth dude. But on Twitter, like
he leans into the memes of it. Yeah, the whole like flashing the 56 ape montage and
Oh yeah.
But I do sympathize and have some compassion there. Like, I mean, I can't imagine losing 100 ETH.
Yeah,
like
that's definitely not ideal. Not ideal.
But I think it just goes to show, like, you need to kind of have respect for, like, this is the, you know, the layer or the level that we're playing at is like, this is the financialization and like the finality of it. Right. There's no take back seas. There's no, you know, revert the credit card chargebacks, you know, like it is what it is.
Yep.
And there should be some respect put on that of like, you put 100 ETH bid out there, you best believe it could get accepted.
Wild. And so what else do we have on here? I put like, what does the future of the NFT space look like? Just because I love hearing your perspective. This has been really so much fun chopping it up, man. Like, you know, always hearing your perspective. I just said like there. Do I say like a lot? Because we had a comment on Twitter. Did you see that? I know.
Like,
I was like, is that me? Is that me or Jennifer? I didn't know. Is it me?
You know what? I've been saying like since the 5th grade. But honestly, that is something that I would like to stop saying, like, as if I'm not using it correctly and just using it as a filler word. But it is hard when it's become like a habit of your vocabulary.
Like a habit, yeah.
No, did I say like? No, stop, please. I was actually thinking
so good. At least it's you, not me. I was like, are they talking about me?
Like,
do I say it all the time?
Yeah, like you don't even realize.
Maybe, yeah.
That's funny. So what do we think? I've said a couple times about the future. I think the mass adoption is going to come when people start to see things out in the real world and they're like, I need that. How do I get access to that? How do I get into that club? How do I go to this party? How do I get that hoodie? Oh, I need to buy an NFT. Let me figure that out. Rather than, I heard about NFTs. I want to buy it. Which one should I buy? Like, people are going to see things and they're going to need to, okay, I need to figure out NFTs. I don't know if you guys have a thought of kind of what's
I do agree with like
the
consumerism component that like that we until like there will always be the speculative part of the NFT space, like the financialization of everything. There will always be those that speculate on the future projected value of these assets. But I think until we get to that tipping point where people are buying to truly collect and to consume these, experiences or goods because they want to have them, they want to possess them, not because they speculate that it's going to, appreciate in value, that will be a very interesting tipping point for the space. That I want this because I want to have it, not because I anticipate making money off of it. And I also think it is kind of multifaceted in that there's a lot of work left to be desired on the UI UX front. That onboarding still is a hurdle, not a speed bump. That we need to find a way to properly educate and have, some caution there because of the sovereignty component of the space that I think is one of the most empowering aspects of getting into Web3 and NFTs, but it's also one of the biggest risks. And so I do think that there's going to be some interesting custody solutions, kind of like a la Nifty Gateway style, where you can sign up with a credit card, email, buy your NFTs and have them custodied for you. And at a later date, once you maybe work your way down the rabbit hole a little bit, you can off ramp it or send it off to your sovereign wallet. But I do think that the on ramp is a big challenge right now.
Yeah, it is, and it's hard to on ramp people. All everyone's hearing right this moment is how everything is crashing. That's what people are hearing about, and that's what everyone looks at me and they're like, "Oh, didn't everything crash?"
Everyone's like, "You guys doing okay?"
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're like, I'm into NFTs. They're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, you probably lost a lot of money."
Yeah, I know. Oh, I heard that. I heard that's done. I heard that was a scam.
Well, and then those same people will be waiting until ETH's back at 4 or 5K,
right? Needing to get
buying
in
again.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I like all the people that were like, I begged my family to buy ETH at 4,000 at Thanksgiving.
I mean, I had some place like that.
Yeah,
I had some place. It wasn't necessarily ETH. I had family members that were buying some ETH then, but
to buy NFTs or whatever it is,
to get into NFTs.
Yeah.
But then some of the stuff, like Chainlink and some of the stuff like that, I'm like, don't even look at it for 36 months. Right. These are kind of those infrastructural plays that they're either going to zero and the whole space falls apart, or they are phenomenal long-term investments that you can think about in the years, not what they're day trading at. It's if you're gonna the first time my mom sent me some ping that their crypto was down 30% or something like that, I'm like, you broke the cardinal rule. You looked at the chart. So yes, there's something there if you're day trading about it, but at this point I'm a pretty firm dollar cost averaging, playing the long game.
Yep. It's nice to see it coming back some, but ETH at least.
I'll be disappointed if it honestly doesn't fall back off a cliff. If $1,000 was this max pain that we were being told about, I vastly overestimated. But
I don't need it to go down again. I'm good if it wants to go back.
I'm not again wishing for pain or anything, but there is a part of me that was anticipating it going lower, and if it does go back down there, you best believe I'll be levering back in heavy. But if 1,000 was the bottom, I think that I vastly overestimated how.
I think we went under 900. It got down to the high 800s. I think that was
maybe for
a couple minutes. Right. So the governments could buy in. Yeah, exactly. Probably nobody was actually able to buy it.
Yeah, where it just insta dips and gets bought up. But Yeah, I think across a long enough time frame, like there's just the amount of effort and human capital that's going into the space right now is incredible.
Yep.
So like just from that perspective, I think that there's a promising future for the utility of like Ethereum as a cryptocurrency. And I'm no professional crypto trader or anything by any means, but like when I look at it like that like some of the most brilliant, intelligent minds in the world are working in this field, trying to solve very difficult problems. That leaves me pretty optimistic.
Absolutely. Another thing we actually would be remiss if I didn't mention, our friend Carlini dropped his Penelope's exclusives. I know, Jennifer, did you get into that this week? Did you check it out?
My mom came to visit me this weekend, so I really didn't do any NFC stuff. But tell me about it.
Okay. So there are 10,000 of them. I think they've only sold like 3,000 at this point. It's been on sale for a few days, whatever it is. And they're selling for 0.1. It's called Penelope's Exclusives. And there's going to be 5 rarity levels, and that decides how many of their token you get. I think their token is just called token. And it's one of those things where, you know, if you want to follow a builder and somebody in the space that you know is solid, is going to be around doing really cool stuff, Carlini's one of those people. We had him on, and he was one of the most impressive guests we had for me. So that's just like the next evolution of that Penelope's. I've been watching it. There's a couple under, like there's only 14 listed on OpenSea, which is crazy, but a few of them are under the mint price. So I was actually thinking of snagging them. And we should definitely mention that.
A lot of whales hold those Penelopes. Yeah. I've learned pretty early on.
Well, I mean, you go back to, you know, talking about Nate Alex and kind of that generation of people from, you know, the earlier cycles. And Carly is definitely in that conversation too. He and Nate giving each other crap on Twitter always cracks me up. But talking about guys that are like in it for the long haul, that are, you know, kind of just doing some cool experimental shit, you know, and
exactly.
I think that's, you know, another thing that's direly needed for the NFT space as a whole is it's gotten kind of, not only has it gotten stagnant as a market, but kind of development wise, that there's been few like really pivotal game changing type developments lately, that it's a lot of copy pastas, a lot of derivatives, a lot of kind of borrowed this and that from these other projects kind of deal. And I think we're going to need some pretty interesting, whether it be for sake of art, that like, you know, there's conceptual projects and stuff that's doing some experimental stuff with NFTs and smart contracts, or if it's, you know, really genre pushing with new EIPs, new token standards, stuff like that. But I think that would be a good jump start.
Yeah. The opposite side of like Carlini and the builders and the OGs. I was watching that Alex Monopoly project. Did you guys see that one at all? Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah. 0.5 ETH they're trying to sell it for. I mean, the guy, I guess, is really popular. I've actually seen his art, and it's like, it's cool stuff. It's like the Monopoly.
I mean, he's big in like the LA, Miami, New York art scene kind of deal. He's, you know, really well connected. He kind of helped push that kind of street art into, you know, high art conversation. He has had traditional sculptures and pieces sell for a lot of money, but at the same time, kind of like read the room a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
Half an ETH isn't it? Half an ETH isn't it? And it was funny. He took like 8 years off of Twitter, and his second tweet back was like, I'm dropping an NFT project.
Yeah. Well, I know he's big on Instagram and stuff like that, but to me it was kind of like read the room a little bit, little tone deaf. The price pretty darn expensive, especially in ETH terms for what it's promising. I know that it's got some promised, you know, utility and some kind of game that they're supposedly developing and stuff like that, but for it being your first entrance into the space, or I don't even know if it's his actual first NFT.
Yeah, he did a like a collab of like 700 pieces with Ozuna.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait,
I only saw
like
that because I was looking at it.
The Spanish rapper?
I think so, yeah.
I love his music.
But I think he had some other thing that like didn't go over super spectacularly.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like a big swing that I don't know that it's opportune timing. Like if he would have done this maybe back in like November, there's a chance that sells out.
Right. Oh yeah, everything would have sold out. Right, for sure. November, December, January. And the funny thing is, even though it's like we're laughing at it like it's a flop, he still brought in $2 million. Like he was looking to bring in like 5.5. I think they sold like 40%. Let me see if I could.
Didn't the guy Zach ZBT or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I got thread on him. That is always a huge red flag.
Yeah, no doubt. I was actually looking at that project for a while because the guy's stuff is cool. I didn't know the price until I saw it today when they actually dropped. I'm going to the
again, I'm kind of one of those, like, I'm all for artists making their money and doing that kind of stuff, but I've actually followed him for a good number of years because I used to like his, street art style and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he had this kind of like rebranding where he went from like underground street artists pivoting into kind of fine art to this, like, look at how much money I have and how many rich people I hang out with type deal. And it just doesn't have the best connotation for like trying to sell out how many millions of dollars worth of NFTs.
Yeah. He sold 2,800 of them. So that's a
somebody's buying
number.
Them.
Yeah. 1,400 ETH.
It's a lot of ETH.
Not bad. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, Bored Apes minted out at 800 ETH.
I mean, that's to me, it's also like what they go through to onboard their existing audiences. Like,
yeah,
when I look at Gary V or Bobby Hundreds, these guys put an absolutely monstrous effort into education, onboarding, and to help convert some of those, people that are engaged with them on other platforms, or to help kind of shepherd in their existing audience into Web3. And I haven't seen any of that. Not that it's not out there. I'm not saying there could be for all I know, but it definitely has a different connotation to it when it's just, hey, plant your flag. Look at me. I'm selling NFTs. Pay me money.
Yeah, you have to eat a little bit of shit when you do that, because like a lot of your comments are, oh, you're killing the environment, and why are you doing NFTs? You're a scam artist. Like a lot of that's like, but if you have your conviction, I think it's the right move. If you want to get into Web3 and NFTs, you have to try to bring your fans in and educate them, like you said, is really, really important. Gary Vee did the like absolutely spectacular job. He brought me in. He literally, I got MetaMask for VFriends because he said to, and learned how to use it for that drop.
And I think there's a lot of people in the space today that can say that. Yeah.
Yeah. I've said before, with Gary Vee and NBA Top Shot is like half the people in the space.
It's
maybe not anymore, but it was
for last year's generation. I think it was Top Shots. And then for like the artists and collectors, it was the Beeple sale.
Right. Well, that's everyone learned about NFTs from the Beeple sale.
Yeah,
exactly.
But like Top Shots for onboarding, the Beeple sale for like bringing artists' curiosity into the space.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, Gary's got to be up there in the conversation of people that have like single-handedly, not that he didn't have an entire team working on this, but like credit to him. He and his team definitely like onboarded maybe the most people into the NFT space based off a single project.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably at that point. Definitely could be. Good stuff. Anything else you guys want to bring up? Are there any projects in VGF that are coming out that you think are kind of cool, or any artists you want to shout out or anything like that? We always give people a chance.
Honestly, most of my collecting these days has been on Tezos.
I saw you say that before. Yeah. I have a Temple wallet and some Tezos art, but not a lot. I should look over that a little more.
I've been buying some Iskra Velichkova. She's a ridiculously talented generative artist. Some of her, like, I have 4 of her one-of-ones that might be like my 4 single favorite NFTs that I own.
Wow. On Tezos?
On Tezos. Cool. I've been buying a bunch of worms. There's this Japanese artist. I don't know how to actually pronounce his name. Anyway,
if
the
you
worm.
if
you know, you know.
The worms on Tezos. So Tezos, do you like it like just because you could kind of get good value on really cool art that you like?
It's like, I look at it like my gambling money. Where like if you have enough fun to justify the expense and you get to like support an artist in the process, that's like win-win-win. And then if it just so happens to, you know, go up in value, like even better. But it's like Quibibi. I don't know how to pronounce it. I apologize. It's Qubibi. His Twitter is Qubibien. But like he's gotten a lot of kudos the last few weeks. I had kind of been on the crawl for a couple of them, but then Art Gnome and Verseworks put out a couple like interviews and articles about him, and it just went crazy the last like week or so.
Oh wow.
But anyway, I like, if I can spend the like little bit of money like that, I know that it's going to support an independent artist. And then like at the end of the day, even if it goes to zero, I have something that I love and appreciate to show for it. That's a win.
Cool. Love that.
But yeah, I do a lot of accumulating. I don't do a lot of selling.
Yeah. And I wonder, Tezos seems like it's going to be around to stay. Like, I wonder what happened. Like, I wonder if they'll ever.
I think if purely on the art, like, I know that there's like some DeFi stuff going on Tezos and stuff like that, but I think just the power of artists being there, it has some legs.
Okay.
Because
I know a lot of the artists do go there. That was a big thing with like those the NFTs tips people were always doing Tezos back in Clubhouse. It was a big thing. Everyone was always talking about it. I do have my wallet. I gotta log back in there. It's been a while. See what I have.
That's where I do it. Like it keeps the fun in it. You know, it's fun. I appreciate that I can, you know, collect things that I appreciate and enjoy. And that it doesn't cost me, you know, quite often hundreds or thousands of dollars. Very frequently, it's more like, you know, a few Tez or 10, 20, 50 Tez for like something you really want.
What's Tez at right now? What's one Tezos? Let's
like
see.
160 or something.
Okay, so it is nice and cheap. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, if I can get it something that I really enjoy and appreciate for like less than $100, and I know it's going to, you know, support an artist. That's pretty cool in my book.
Cool.
But ETH, I don't have near as much bandwidth to keep on top of as much anymore. I've had my head down working, you know, pretty hard, especially like the last few months. What about you guys? Anything top of your radar? What do I need to be playing catch up on?
Alec Monopoly, man. You got to get into Alec Monopoly. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, you need to buy my bags.
Yeah. You do want to buy some from me? I'll do a private sale if you want. I made a mistake and minted some. Nah, I mean, I'm big into the Jenkins de Valet. I think that's awesome. That's doing really well. I got 8 of those.
I have my one pass there.
Yeah. Coming out new, like what's the one called? The Outsiders. I started watching recently. Is that what it's called? By Go Walla, The Outsiders, I think. It crossed my radar recently. And other than that, I don't know about new ones. I've definitely been trying to to watch some of the artists. Like I have some friends that are dropping projects that I'm going to support. You remember Mean Mug from Clubhouse? Yep. He's got his billionaire Ghost Club that he's going to drop that I'll support. Really good dude. And what else have I got recently? I'm going to look at my recents real quick.
I was just looking at my wallet activity. It's like Jenkins.
Yeah.
Pixel Vault. Jake the Degen. Jake the Degen is like one of the
Jake the Degen's cool. Yeah, he's a good dude.
I just accumulate his pieces.
Okay.
Just another one of those artists doing dope stuff, embracing the technology as well as kind of the art form. It's
crypto native artist. Yeah. And he's got the kind of the street cred in the game, he's for sure.
Yeah. One of those artists that you see like doing all the right things and continually putting out dope work.
Yep. Another one I got recently. You guys know that Jerry Maguire 2.0, like Money Mac. You know him on Twitter? No, he was like
okay, the person. Yes.
Yeah. He did his project called Card of Dreams, and I was messaging with him for a while. I bought a couple of those. Like he's trying to do it kind of like stealth and reaching out to different people and trying to kind of handpick his community. So that seems like it's a kind of cool thing. He talks it up like there's going to be, some really cool things coming with it. But other than that, I've been kind of taking it easy a little bit and watching and learning. I bought something from this artist. What's his name? Just recently. Jeez, I don't know his name. The Fuckles, that guy, whatever. I don't remember his name though. But I was looking it up and it looked cool and he's got like a whole thing going. But yeah, just waiting for something new and great to come along. Looking to see if you had any alpha for us.
I mean, I got my stuff I'm working on, but
yeah, for sure.
That's if it's unannounced yet, it's for a reason. I don't necessarily want to be leaking too much ahead of the game, but
anything outside of Pixel Vault
that I'm working on or that I'm excited for.
That's what you're working on.
I mean, that's Pixel Vault takes
That's exclusive. You don't want to know.
If and when I ever have anything.
The first time I ever heard you stutter. The first time I ever heard him stutter, he said,
if and when there's anything that I have independently, I'll definitely, you'll be one of the first to know. But that's
what's up. I'll get an honorary. I just was promised an honorary.
Get an honorary
in the VGF collection. That's amazing. Thank you so much for offering that. That is amazing for you to offer. I'll hold you to it, but that's really nice.
Little did you know what crashing on your couch at VCon would
yeah, exactly.
Okay, we got to wrap this episode up. This is going way too long. Honestly, this might be a record for the longest. Yeah, I can't talk.
This is what happens when we just
talking
are hanging around. See, the review came true. It's hanging out with your NFT friends.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Fair. Okay, so that was foreshadowing for the event. Cool. Well, VGF, thank you so much for coming on the show.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And shout out to everybody listening to this episode. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFT Catcher Pod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.